Hey everybody, John Skiba here with the Arizona Consumer Law Group, and in this video I'm going to share with you my number one strategy for winning a lawsuit against a junk debt buyer. But if this is your first time here on my YouTube channel, go ahead and click subscribe, click on that little bell, and that way you'll be notified each and every week when I put out valuable tips on how to deal with serious debt problems. All right, let's talk about junk debt buyer lawsuits. Now, if you're representing yourself, I know it can be really overwhelming, but I'm going to share with you a strategy today that is proven over the many years and hundreds and thousands of cases that I've handled on how you can defeat a junk debt buyer. Now, I can tell you almost without exception, when I meet with people who are representing themselves in the junk debt buyer case against Midland Funding, Portfolio Recovery, Unifund, any of those, hundreds of junk debt buyers throughout the country, what people often do is they immediately start submitting discovery requests, interrogatories, written requests for documents where they want information, particularly documents, asking for copies of the original contract, asking for monthly statements, asking for the documents that show the actual transaction occurred. And they start asking for all this information. And I'm going to tell you today that's probably the exact opposite of what you need to be doing. And here's why. You need to look at the bigger picture. When a junk debt buyer files a lawsuit against you, they're the plaintiff. And as a plaintiff in the lawsuit, they bear the burden of proof, meaning they have to prove each and every element of their case. They have to prove not only that you had an account with the original creditor, they have to prove what the balance was, what the terms were, they have to show that you didn't pay, and then they have to show that the account was actually transferred to them. See, because they're in this weird situation where they didn't loan you any money, you didn't agree to pay them any money, so they have to be able to prove each and every one of those elements along the way. And they're going to struggle to do so because the dirty little secret in junk debt buying is when they buy these accounts. Portfolio Recovery goes out and buys a huge portfolio of accounts that they want to then sue on. They don't get a whole lot of documentation at that point. They might get a couple of the monthly statements. They may get the terms and conditions, just very generic things, maybe an assignment document, but they're not going to get all of the documentation that they need. And that's because 95% of these cases end up in a default. So for the most part, they don't have to prove it. However, once you get involved, if you start requesting that document, then in most courts, they're going to require them to turn it over. So then they have to go back to the original creditor and get that document so that they can disclose it and use it against you in the trial. So if you kind of see how that works, they bear the burden of proof. They have to prove all these things. They don't have all the documents that they need. But by you going in and requesting it, they are then at that point going to have to go get it, and now they're going to bring the document back, they're going to disclose it, and they're going to use it against you in trial. So you're actually kind of working against yourself by requiring them to go out and get a whole lot more documentation. So for the most part, in junk debt buyer cases, what I could tell people is you as the defendant, your job is really to kind of sit back and essentially say, prove it. If you think that if you're saying that you own this account and that I owe you a certain dollar amount, prove it. You need to show that to me. You need to be able to prove that to the court. And if you can't prove that to the court, then you're going to have a problem because the judge is going to say, look, there just isn't any evidence here to support that. So again, this falls under the less is more theory or approach to dealing with a junk debt buyer lawsuit. If they don't have the documentation that they need to support their claim of ownership, great. That's to your benefit because they have to prove it. You don't have to disprove that the debt is owed. That's not how this works. It's 100% on their shoulders. So before you go out and request all those documents and file those interrogatories, I'd ask you to think about that. Is this something that they need to prove their case that they don't have, that they haven't disclosed? And if that's the case, just sit back, wait until trial, or wait till they file a motion for summary judgment, and then bring that to the court's attention that, look, all they're doing is they're alleging that they own this debt. They're alleging that a certain dollar amount is owed. They haven't proven anything, and they don't have any documents. So be careful before you jump in and request a bunch of documents from them. It may actually play against your benefits in this. So that's my tip for today. Less is more. The less information that they have, the less documentation they have, the better it's going to be for you overall. If you want to get more strategies and tips on how to deal with junk debt buyer lawsuits, check out the videos here on my YouTube page. I also have some tutorials that I have where I walk you step by step through there. I'll put the link down in the show notes for those that'll help you as you fight back against these abusive debt collectors. Thanks for watching today.